Randy Troy!
A mic with a wire. They knew an old guy was coming up here. So, it's nice to be out with friends again, isn't it? Lately, I've been stuck home working on my modeling career. So far, I've built a plane, a train, and 3 race cars. I've been home so much lately, I started doing things I never thought I would do. I even got a cat. They're nice, right, cats? Especially cats from Brooklyn, like furry little mobsters. Actually, cats are scarier than mobsters, because if you sentence them to life, they still got 8 left. I was watching The Godfather with my little guy, and next time I was late feeding him, I found a mouse's head in my bed. That's the cool thing about cats. If they like you, they bring you corpses. Could you imagine if guys did that? Show up for a date with a bottle of wine and a dead guy? Now, if you're going to try to impress a girl by bringing her a corpse, at least bring her someone she'd like to see dead. Bring her the guy who said she looks good for her age. Bring her the guy who agreed that dress makes her look fat. Or better yet, bring her a politician. Drag in a congressman. You want term limits? You got them. But I've been home a lot and doing new things, and it's good. I even tried investing online. But as you probably know, in order to be successful, you have to get to really know the product. I chose cannabis stocks and ended up buying high and selling low. And watched all my profits go up in smoke. But I'm doing new things, and that's the important part. I even wrote a rap song. I figured it would help me hook up with some of those hot rap chicks, you know? But let me tell you, those girls will give you a workout. You gotta do cardio if you wanna do Cardi B. Or else you end up at the cardiologist. But I needed some new action ever since my girlfriend dumped me. She accused me of being a hoarder after she saw my apartment featured in Better Homes and Garbage. Then she looked in my closet and found my stack of Village Voices from 1974 and moved them over and found my girlfriend from 1973. She first became suspicious of my hoarding after she asked if I liked Campari. Now I thought she said Campari, so I broke out a bottle, which not only cost me a relationship, but I'm no longer her sponsor at AA. But it wasn't working out anyway because I wasn't socially conscious enough for her. Even her vibrator was solar powered. Talk about a day person. So I'm in therapy and she recommended a sex change. She thinks I should start having some. So I put the moves on her and she told me to go screw myself. So now when people ask me how my sex life's going, I tell them I'm holding my own. Seriously though, I think I may have a problem. I went to a doctor and he said, you have to stop masturbating. I said, why? He said, because it's making it really hard for me to examine you. Then he referred me to a sperm bank where they give you $70 a pop. Talk about coming into money. I couldn't believe last year alone I let thousands of dollars slip right through my fingers. But the problem is I'm stressed, and these checkpoints at the border are really freaking me out. I got stopped coming back from a beer run to Jersey, so I actually had a case of Corona. I got stopped for a COVID check, but I'd already deposited my stimulus money, so I didn't have a COVID check to show them. Sometimes I worry that I have COVID, because they say you lose your sense of taste. Have you seen how I dress? These days, which gang you're in is based on which vaccine you've taken. You have the 3 families of COVID. You got the Pfizer's fighting the Modernas. Then you got the scariest gang of all, the Johnson & Johnsons, because they'll take you out with one shot. We're doing a great job with the vaccines in New York, though, aren't we? We're like McDonald's, over 4 million served. But we needed to get things back on track, you know, because everybody's had a bad year. I got a friend, Karen. Nice girl, big classic rock fan. She was walking through the park, and a black guy was selling CDs, so she said, I want the police. Now she's banned from social media. In my neighborhood, nobody's out anymore. There always used to be guys shooting craps on my stoop. Now, no dice. Strangers would come ringing my bell. This cute girl came over looking for donations to an animal charity, so I gave her all my animals. Then they sent a guy over, and I asked if I could stick him with my gerbils, so he screamed and ran down the stairs. But he came back in 10 minutes wearing lingerie. One of the things I've missed most this past year is going to casinos. I really like casinos because everybody's so helpful. There are signs all over that say, gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. So I call them up. I say, look, I got 4 spades, but I also got a pair of 10s. Which cards do I hold? If that's not a gambling problem, I don't know what is. One of my favorite casinos is Harrah's in New Orleans. I really like New Orleans because everybody's so friendly. Like I'm bopping down Bourbon Street and this guy comes up to me and says, blow? I said to him, hey pal, I appreciate the offer, but I just met you. Buy me a drink or something first, you know, get me in the mood. Seriously though, the deal is there, really aggressive. Guy comes up to me in the middle of the street and says, hey man, want to buy some Coke? I said to him, you selling Coke out in the open like that? How do you know I'm not a cop? Nah man, I said weed. That's his defense. He's selling a different illegal drug? Does that approach work in other situations? Like, no honey, I couldn't have blown our money at the track. I was in a hotel room with your sister. Now the funny thing about doing drugs is if you do them, and they have some really weird effect on you, that if it happened under any other circumstances, you'd be calling 911. You just think you got good stuff. Wow, I can't feel my face. And my leg is going numb. I gotta get more of this. Hey man, you got some more of what you sold me? Sorry pal, I'm out of oregano. And you better see a doctor. You think you're having a stroke. But I respect drug dealers, I really do, because they're true entrepreneurs. Like during the whole hoarding situation we had a while back, some of them started selling toilet paper, which shows in our society, a drug dealer has a role. Were you guys affected by the hoarding at all? Some days I was looking for toilet paper all afternoon. By the time I got home, I was wiped out. See, I'm doing a lot of toilet paper jokes because I'm trying to work clean. Now, one of the things that I have done a lot this past year, as I'm sure many people have, is watch television. And I like TV, I really do. But there are some things about it that I don't like. For example, I think there's way too much sex on television. I don't know about you, but I keep falling off the freaking thing. Now here's a question for you ladies. Have you ever noticed when a salesman's trying to sell you a TV, they always measure the screen diagonally? That's because guys are always trying to make you think it's bigger than it really is. This is why women have such poor depth perception, because guys keep telling them that this is 8 inches. Okay, 12. And the commercials on TV, I don't go for. Some of them are clever, but some I just don't get. Like the commercials for the Psychic Friends Network. Why does a psychic need a commercial? Don't they already know if you're gonna call? And they always say 99 cents a minute, call as often as you like they're doing you a favor taking your money. 99 cents a minute is 60 bucks an hour. I can get a lawyer to lie to me for 50. And the drug commercials really annoy me. You know the ones I'm talking about? Where the drug treats one thing, but it's got like 15 horrible side effects. But they don't tell you that up front. They start off with nice music and people prancing through a field. And at the very end, this cheerful voice comes on. May cause hair loss, weight gain, constipation, diarrhea, sore adenoids, hemorrhoids, and possibly death. But hey, he seems like a nice guy. What's a little death? I'm from Brooklyn, walk it off. And one of the side effects is always impotence. Impotence. And this drug is for depression. This is how you're cheering me up? Why not hack the freaking thing off entirely? Really make my day. Now they got a drug that says it may cause uncontrollable body movements that may become permanent. Well, sign me up. I mean, this sounds pretty good, right? This will make me real popular with the ladies, turn me into a human vibrator. Talk about giving a girl a fair shake. This could be the basis of the first X-rated horror film. A guy falls asleep for 8 hours in a massaging chair and wakes up the human vibrator. Then the vibrator goes out and commits battery. This film is rated double D and will have you coming soon in a theater near you. Compared to this, those Chucky movies, they're child's play. Now they've got a drug that asks the very important question: are you or anyone you know having a problem with marijuana? Now, I don't know about you, but I can't keep the freaking thing lit. Sometimes I light so many matches, you'd think I was trying to get the band to come back on stage. I don't get it. It used to work. I'd be toking away right, listening to the Dead. I'd be seeing things that aren't there. Now I need reading glasses to see the things at all. Do we have any Grateful Dead fans here, by the way? 60s. Well, the rest of you don't know what you're missing, because you got your money's worth with the Dead. You could put on one of their live albums, go to work, go to dinner, go on vacation. You come home, that song's still playing. They haven't even finished the intro yet. Okay, any of my fellow Jews in the audience? Good to see you out on a Friday night, drinking, enjoying yourself. You're going to hell, you know that, right? When you get there, look for me. I'll be the guy watching porn on a Betamax. But that's actually a misconception anyway, because Jews can go out on Friday night. I consider myself to be an observant Jew. So on a Friday night when I'm in a strip club observing, and I see one of my friends or relatives there, they're not allowed to be there either, so who are they going to tell? It's the perfect crime, and it gives us something cool to wink at each other about at bar mitzvahs. One time I walked into a male strip club by mistake, and it reminded me that in the morning I had to go to a bris. Well, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. Brooklyn people? Please put your ankle monitors on vibrate for the remainder of the performance. Thank you. Well, growing up in Brooklyn was tough on the Jewish kids, you know, because we got picked on. Luckily, most people thought I was Italian, which is good, because girls like Italian guys. Because they figure even if we're no good in bed, at least we could fix their car or something, you know? But the Jewish people are not a mechanical people. You give a Jew a hammer and he auctions off a building. The only reason I took shop in high school is I had just gotten an Amex card and I thought they were taking us to the mall. I'm not handy, I admit it. Every time I try to make a protein shake, comes out a Long Island iced tea. Which is actually a very good drink nutritionally when you think about it. Because the iced tea contains something from all 4 of the primary food groups: vodka, gin, rum, and tequila. You have a couple of those, you don't even need vitamins. It becomes a Brooklyn iced tea if you beat a guy up and take his. Another thing about the Jewish people is there have been no great Jewish explorers. It's true. You look at the names of the great explorers. You had Eric the Red and Alexander the Great. You never had Saul the Asthmatic, Myron the Mama's Boy, Barry the Bedwetter. And when my lousy sense of direction really gets me in trouble is when I'm in the doctor's office and I'm trying to find my way out of the little room. Now, I don't know about you, but the little room scares the hell out of me. I'll be in there just having received a thorough rectal exam, which seems odd since the guy's a podiatrist. I should have known something was up when the doctor gave me flowers. Turns out we went to high school together, so we consider this to be looking up an old friend. So now the doctor's leaning back smoking a cigarette, fanning himself, and I'm looking for the exit, only to be confronted by a maze of other little rooms. And every time I walk into the wrong little room by mistake, like any self-respecting guy, I'll never admit that I'm lost. So I always play it cool and agree to some unnecessary medical procedure. The same day I had a kidney taken out, another one put in, I had dialysis, electrolysis, and I was circumcised 3 times. If my sausage hadn't been whittled down to a cocktail, Frank, I'd still be there. Don't worry, I've still got 8 inches left. So call me, 99 cents a minute. Chat with sexy circumcised singles in your area. Circumcision is an odd part of Judaism when you think about it. Are you thinking about it? And it makes us feel like we're not really part of the crowd. Like in high school, when the Catholic kids would be telling penis jokes, I always felt like I was missing a little something, you know? Now, the guy who performs this ritual is called a moil. Who wakes up one day and decides, this is what I want to do with my life? And what school do you go to for this? Could you imagine bringing your parents up on open school night to review your work? Could you imagine grading these final exams? Some guys pass, others don't make the cut. Ouch. But what you really don't want to be is this guy's first customer. All right, I screwed up, so change his name to Amy, but have more kids, I'll get better. The most challenging thing about growing up a Jewish boy is dealing with that most feared of all creatures, the overprotective Jewish mother. She means well, but if you spend time with this woman during your teenage years, you have virtually no chance of avoiding a lifetime of therapy. If I came home an hour late for dinner, I'd look in the refrigerator, my face was already on a milk carton. I'd be out there every day playing football with the tough Irish and Italian kids, you know, trying to impress them. They shatter a kneecap or fracture a skull, their mother's got them working construction that afternoon. My mother, I break a nail. She's out there with a first aid kit that looked like she stole it from a MASH unit. The doctors in the neighborhood used to come to my mother for supplies. Because she had it all. She had a knitting needle and thread in case I needed stitches. That way she could sew me up, then make me a sweater. She had 2 thermometers, one for each end, and an assortment of liquids that no chemist could possibly hope to identify. First, she'd have to carefully evaluate the boo-boo. And if it was deemed serious enough, in order to treat me, she'd have to take me inside the house. Trust me when I tell you, under no circumstances did you want to be taken inside the house. It was like a Frankenstein movie in there. She didn't have the big table like Dr. Frankenstein, no. Instead, she had the couch with the plastic covers. Try peeling yourself off those babies on a hot summer day. Talk about a horror show. Do you know when our plastic covers wore out, she got new plastic covers made? We had the couch 30 years. We hadn't sat on the freaking thing yet. So she'd sit me down there on the covers and work on me for hours, the sweat glistening from her hairnet. A cigarette ash dangling precariously above the robe that she swiped from the Holiday Inn in Miami Beach. Secondhand smoke, secondhand robe. And when she was done, it was unrecognizable. Everything was wrapped. I skinned my knee. I ended up looking like I got hit by a bus in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. And if her friends were over, I had no chance. 10 menopausal Jewish mothers high on lox and mahjong swarming me, each with their own recipe for chicken soup. And when they were done, I was on crutches in a back brace with 10 numbers for girls I absolutely had to call. You're such a good-looking boy. Why is he still single? I was 12. Now, when a Jewish kid knows he's really in trouble is when 2 Jewish mothers get together and decide to hook their kids up on a blind date. At this point, I thought you looked familiar. I planned to pay for dinner, but at this point, if he's smart, the young man puts on a disguise, sneaks out of Hebrew school, and joins a basketball team, because no one's looking for a Jewish kid there. One girl wanted me to take her on a boat ride. I don't go on boats. If Jews were meant to go on boats, Moses never would have parted those waters. Now I know what you're thinking, Noah had an ark. But I'm not buying that Noah was a Jew, because no Jewish mother's letting you have all those pets. We know Jesus was a Jew because he lived with his mother till he was 30. I don't like boats because I'm scared of sharks. Ever since I saw this video, the 10 worst shark attacks, Worse shark attacks? How exactly do you make that distinction? How you doing, man? Oh, no problem, just a minor shark attack. Could you pass me a beer? Put it in the hand with the fingers. But no matter how bad the date could go, and they could go bad, I could never say no to my mother, because she had the ultimate weapon, Jewish guilt. My mother was the godfather of guilt. And I didn't just have to face her, I had to deal with her consigliere, my Aunt Sadie. I'd come home, they'd be watching their favorite horror film when a stranger calls, but my son doesn't. The table covered with brochures on assisted suicide. So, you're finally home. You don't call. You're going to kill your mother. We sent your father out looking for you. He's been lost for 3 days. You never should have bought that discounted GPS from your Uncle Saul. 50% off should not mean off course. Now, my father was a real piece of work. Not the most welcoming guy. When I was a kid, our front doorbell was a Rottweiler. Hey, Dad, I think someone's at the door. Spike just brought in a leg. That's okay, have him put it with the others. Good boy, Spike, come on, shake a leg. And tell whoever it is to hop the hell off my porch. Don't make me go out there, I'm running out of mace. Just kidding, he never ran out of mace. He used to buy it by the case at Costco. Sometimes he used it for cologne, which explains all the tears at family gatherings. My whole childhood, I never got a good night's sleep because my father woke us up at 5 a.m. every morning playing marches by John Philip Sousa. I'm 14 years old, dreaming about making out with this cute girl in my homeroom class. Next thing I know, she's coming at me with a tuba. I was told I was an only child, but I'm convinced that the others had already escaped. I saw evidence of this when I looked behind their wedding photo and I saw the days of their sentence scratched into the wall with a dreidel. Actually, I'm kidding. I really am an only child. And my mother didn't have me till she was 42. I've always said it would take my father a long time to get anything right. Well, at this point in the show, I have a confession to make. I am the product of a mixed marriage. It's true. My mother was a Yankee fan, my father liked the Mets. And baseball was a serious thing on my block, and my neighbors expressed their support in different ways. Like we had this one guy, Mr. Lombardi, who threw out his garbage every night wearing nothing but a pair of New York Mets boxer shorts. And if a Yankee fan happened to stroll by, he'd turn around and drop him. And that's when you got caught between the moon and New York City. Then we had Miss Riley, this 90-year-old, 90-pound chain-smoking widow who had tattoos of each of her 5 dead husbands. She booked so many cremations, they gave her frequent fire miles. She handled her husbands the old-fashioned way. She earned them. She took them all off life support because they were big Eric Clapton fans and she figured they'd want to go unplugged. Now, she was the only one Lombardi was scared of because she was the only one who could beat him at stickball. She got so good by whacking the neighborhood kids with a broom every time they mouthed off. Sometimes, if she was drunk or in a bad mood, she'd whack them for the hell of it. Hey, Miss Riley, how you doing? Wham! Joey's head went 2 sewers. It was a tough neighborhood where I grew up, you know? You hear a lot now about trigger words? Well, we had them too. Except when somebody said one, you actually pulled the trigger. I grew up 2 blocks from a famous location, you might have heard of it, the Gemini Lounge. It's where the Iceman murdered 100 people for the mob. And my band played there. If we knew that was going on, we would have played better. At the Gemini, they took credit cards. Not to pay for your bill, they just took them. In my neighborhood, when a baby was born, the doctor slapped him twice, and the kid still wasn't talking. Hey, Doc, is that all you got? Well, I ain't no squealer. Now give me my bottle and make it Bacardi. In my neighborhood, any guy who was out on bail was considered a professional man. They called you a virgin if you'd never been thrown through a window. A girl was considered virtuous if she held out till she met a guy with the same parole officer. We were tough, but we had talent. It's not easy rolling up a pack of cigarettes in the sleeve of a tank top. And we all wore them. We had tank tops in 2 colors, white and used to be white. Of course, all the boys had at least one suit. They were paternity suits. But I don't talk about the family business. So I realized at a young age, if I was going to be taken seriously, I was going to have to join a gang. But Jewish gangs are not an option, because they don't exist. It's just not practical. First of all, no self-respecting group of Jewish boys are blowing money on fancy jackets, not when they could be sinking it into their stock portfolio. Now, I understand the confusion some people have when they see a Jewish kid with his pants hanging off of his ass. They think he's a little gangster, but they don't realize we're not passing up a sale just because they don't have our size. Besides, Jewish kids are too busy for gang activity. After school, we have to recover from the 5 push-ups we had to do in gym class. That's going to take a while. Then we got homework to do. Ours and the guys that are going to beat the crap out of us if we don't do theirs as well. Black kids are out recording gangster rap, we're home practicing the oboe. So I realized if I was going to find a gang, I was going to have to go outside the tribe. And I found one that was going to accept me. Tough Italian kids, went to church every Sunday, called themselves the Holy Cannolis. And these guys were rough. In order to get into this gang, you had to get their name tattooed right on the head of your dick. And I didn't have a problem with it. But my friend Dick didn't want those words on his head. See, I cleaned that joke up pretty good, didn't I? But seriously, the problem with this type of tattoo is it's going to look completely different when it's hard than when it's soft. As we know, all men are dogs. Well, you're going to start out with a dachshund, you're going to end up with a pug. So your tattoo's only going to make sense half the time. You know what this reminds me of? That back page of Mad magazine, remember that? It was great practice for a career in origami. Speaking of which, if an origami guy pulls out of a tournament, do you say that he folded? If a cartoonist goes on vacation, is this a case of suspended animation? Why is abbreviation such a long friggin' word? If you're not typing any profanity, is it still called a cursor? Do horror novels ever have ghostwriters? If you're doing meth with a girl, is it considered speed dating? If a football player breaks up with you, will he block you on social media? If you're taking a leak online in England, are you minding your P's and Q's? That one's highbrow. Or lowbrow. Will a grammar Nazi give you a life sentence? You can answer any of these questions? How you doing, man? Sorry I'm not shaking your hand. It's got nothing to do with COVID. I'm just a really unfriendly guy. Maybe because I'm getting old. But getting old isn't all bad, because I can get away with forgetting things I was expected to remember before. I don't call the girl the morning after sex. I used to be an inconsiderate prick. No, I got a condition. If they ever come up with a cure for memory loss, it's going to cost me a fortune in birthday cards. Aging is like living in a haunted house. I wake up every morning to new sounds and smells that can't be explained. You know you're getting old when friends with benefits means you're dating a girl who has Medicaid. Something they can relate to. You know you're getting old when you still have AOL. Where are my AOL people? Hold up your Blackberries. You know, the people who have AOL raise their hands. The other ones just text me back. NFW, LOL. By the way, what's with all the abbreviations? Can't people be bothered typing whole words anymore? I had a young friend wanted to know if I could hang out tonight. I texted him back, no. He said, NO, what's that stand for? And what's with all the LOL? Do you really need to point out that you're laughing out loud? What do you normally do? Have insane laughter going on inside your head like a serial killer or something? What are you, possessed? WAYP? And sex is different when you get old. If you talk to a girl and she says she just had sex with an old guy and he had a big one, probably means a heart attack, so look for him in the emergency room. Of course, he can't look back because he's got cataracts. Now me, I'm the exception. I can still do it 3 times. I just gotta spread them out a little, like a month or 2 apart. Actually, I usually like to start having sex about a minute before daylight savings time kicks in, because that way I can say I did it for more than an hour. Hey, as we get older, performance suffers. Luckily, most guys don't realize when we suck in bed. That's where that age-related memory loss comes in mighty handy. I'll be in there, giving her all my best moves, interpreting the yawning as a mating call, driving her so wild she nearly drops a magazine. And when I get her where I want her, I look down, proudly, expecting applause. She looks up at me and says, "Are you gonna put it in or not?" Another one of my mother's blind dates gone horribly wrong. But hey, at least I fixed her car. Well, I shouldn't complain, because I'm just a couple of years away from real old man sex, where I come home, put on the TV, pour myself a bowl of popcorn, sit down on the couch, touch myself 3 times, and call 911. The end. Literally. Thank you, and good night.
Andy Troy!